So I'd like to welcome everybody, and this is our very first EHSQ, Intelex Community Mastermind Discussion. So I find this very exciting because this is something that I've been really wanting to do for a very long time. And today, we're so lucky to have Dr. Vince Marsati joining us today to talk about using leading indicators in the real workplace. We see a lot of people writing stuff, and it can get kind of confusing. So today I wanted to kind of break down those barriers and challenges and get into a really good conversation. And so we're going to look at a few things. Before you came here today, I had asked you to do some feedback on your entrance form. So we're going to go over that today. And then we're going to crack open a mastermind discussion where Vince and Jess and Thomas, because we have some guests here today, are going to have a really good conversation about using leading indicators in the workplace. Now, for those of you who don't know, my name is Tamara Paris, and I'm the Intelex Community Manager, and I'm also the owner of the EHSQ Professionals on LinkedIn. So I'd like to thank Vince Marsati for taking the time today to come and share his knowledge, and thank Jess and Thomas for coming today and sharing their learnings from their own workplaces. So if I could just ask that, Vince, if you could introduce yourself, that would be great.
Great. Thank you, Tamara. I'm Vince Marcassani. Pleasure to be here today and discuss this very important topic. My background, if it's any help to you, is I've spent some 35 years in the chemical industry. I was Vice President of Environmental Health and Safety for the company called Basel, which is a subsidiary of Royal Dutch Shell and BASF at the time. I have done a number of things in the environmental health and safety area. I won't bore you half to death. I published several papers, and I have co-authored one book and recently published a book on the fundamentals of crisis management. I'd like now for Thomas and for Jesse to introduce themselves and give you a little bit of background.
Thank you, Vince. My name is Thomas Colla. First of all, I want to thank you for this opportunity for talking with you all. I mean, all the community and you, Vince and Tamara. As I said, my name is Thomas Colla. I'm the Group ESH Manager for a company which is based in Italy but has factories around the world, starting from China to the United States. We do produce forged components. So I'm talking about big components that are sold to the energy market, nuclear plants, and the space industry. So I've been in the ESH business in the last 14 years. Myself, I'm a mechanical engineer, and then I grew in the ESH business through my work, actually. And online with me, we have Jessie Ayton. She is sitting in the U.S. By the way, I'm speaking from Italy in this moment. But Jessie is sitting in South Carolina. And so, Jessie, can you introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi. Thanks for having me. I am the EH manager for the group here in the U.S. We do forgings for their seamless rings. I have been at this for probably 4.5 years now as the EH manager. I come from the actual shop floor, so I'm still learning a lot. So I'm honored to be here to talk with you today.
Thank you so much. This is very exciting for me. I'm really looking forward to this session. So, as I was saying before, before you joined us here today, we had asked you some questions. So I wanted to give you that information back about the number of members who are attending today who actually collect data. And interestingly, 14 people out of the 19 people who registered for today's event said yes, that they do collect data. And from those, 6 people are still collecting from paper, 5 from Excel, and 4 using an EHS software. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And so when we're asking people, like, what do you do with the data that you're collecting, 11 people are actually sharing it at safety meetings with their whole team. So this is really, really great. It's great to see that people who are collecting this data are actually sharing it back with the team so everybody can be learning from it, because that's the whole point of collecting data. So now I'm going to move over to the mastermind discussion. And Vince, if you could take it away, that'd be great.
I'd be happy to. Thank you. I want to make just a statement before we begin. We're talking leading indicators, and leading indicators are indeed collected by many, many, many companies and many plants. And the question we're going to talk about today is going to lead us, the end result of all this, which will not be today, is actually using these leading indicators to predict injuries. I'll say that again. Using these leading indicators that you're collecting to predict injuries and thereby creating improved safety performance. Now, let's move into the questions, and I'm going to ask the first one here to Jesse to respond to. Jesse, what difficulties have you experienced in collecting these leading indicator data?
Some of the people, they're reluctant to give you the information because they think there's some kind of discipline, or they just don't know a good, clear definition of near misses or unsafe acts. So it's kind of where I stand. They're fearful.
That they're afraid of losing job or being penalized or lost time of work if they indeed share their own near misses.
Exactly, and they're some people see it as part of their job. It's going to happen. It's really not near miss. It's just something that's part of the job, and like I say, they don't understand the definitions.
Thomas, have you had similar experiences on the larger scale?
Yeah, I'll give you my corporate point of view. I perfectly agree with what Jesse said on this, and I think there's much different between different countries. So the safety culture leads to a different way to make management understand how important leading indicators are. But in my experience, if the top management understands how useful they are, it's kind of like they learn how to drive the machine. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Top down is the best way to go. If you can get the support from above, it makes things so much easier. Thomas, how have you addressed these issues of data collection on the corporate scale and training, incentives, and the discipline area? How have you addressed that?
So there are a couple of strategies, and again, I'm using different strategy depending on the country where I'm working. But generally speaking, I would say first step is training. True understanding of what a leading indicator is and a good selection of them makes it clear for everybody and easy to use. And you mentioned discipline. Well, we are not really using that one as maybe it's our corporate standing on this. We don't use that, especially on very delicate indicators like this one. So we don't force people to use them. We prefer to make them understand through training. Incentives, yes and no. At the end of the year, we can give prizes, or we can have I don't know, celebration for reaching a good level of one of these indicators. So I would say training and incentives, they work.